All right, outstanding. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts, episode 279, the one where we're all inside for some reason, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Want to say hi to everybody. First of all, if you're watching us for the first time, thanks for checking us out. Thanks for asking your questions. We really do appreciate it. We're going to do things a little bit differently today. We're going to have a little bit of a presentation. That's just going to take up the first part, and then we're going to move in and we're going to definitely have some time to answer questions. So with that said, though, I want to say hi to the guys real quick. Got everybody here. So I'm going to start on the left and start with Bradley. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. Glad to be here. With all this craziness going on, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit prior to our normal question answering. So, but so far safe, feel healthy. So I guess that's a good thing.
That's definitely a good thing. So Chris, how about you?
Doing excellent. Never felt better.
Good deal. Hernan, how about yourself?
Oops, muted. I'm good, man. I realized that thing that they call quarantine is like my lifestyle, 24/7. So 24/7 quarantine.
Yeah.
So that's why, I'm not noticing it. So I hope that you guys are safe, but I'm really good.
Marco, how are you doing, man?
It looks like I was muted. How do you think I'm doing?
Not doing too bad.
You see that Groundhog Day, man. 365.
I thought it's sun out, guns out.
Just sunshine over there somewhere.
Yeah, like over there.
over there.
It's funny.
Outstanding. Well, I want to say real quick before we get into things, we're going to be talking about a few different areas, but if you're an agency owner or a consultant, you want to get more clients, you want to grow your revenue, you want to scale your team, you owe it to yourself to check out 2xyouragency.com. And if you're looking to get repeatable processes for everything from new websites, age domains, YouTube channels, dealing with the SEO and digital marketing around those, check out the battle plan at battleplan.semanticmastery.com. And for anyone, we always advise this, is getting things done, whether it's hiring a VA, whether it's finding done-for-you services, and you can find our done-for-you services, all the stuff we recommend and that we built ourselves, like syndication networks, ROAS drive stacks, which there's a sale going on right now. And if you're a subscriber at MGYB.co, you're getting some fantastic deals, SEO Shield, link building, press releases, and a lot more coming, but go check out that stuff. Now, today we want to do things a little bit differently. Obviously, there's a lot going around and going on with the coronavirus. A lot of the future's uncertain. There's things going on, I think, between us all. I came in late to our company meeting yesterday, but I know there was talk of people losing clients. I hopped on a call today, had a client who said, hey, Adam, we'll be in touch. But it looks like, we're not going to be able to continue for a lot longer. Had that tough conversation with them. But we want to cover some of these questions because it's happening to us. I'm sure it's happening to you. And we had a conversation yesterday for probably, I don't know, what do you guys, 15, 20 minutes during our normal corporate meeting, talking about, well, what should we tell people about? Where are we going to focus? What are we going to do as we go through this time? And we wanted to kind of share that with you guys. So what we're going to do here is take about 4 or 5 minutes a piece, talk through some areas that we think are really important where you can get either the most bang for your buck or the most value for your time during what is probably going to be a bumpy time for a lot of people. So with that said, Bradley, do you want to kind of kick things off here?
Sure. Let me start my timer so I can keep myself within the 5 minutes allotted. All right. So, yeah. So, I've had a couple of clients call. I have a preschool client, owns 3 locations, that called and said that he was, kind of they're still open, but they're I actually ended up spending about half an hour with him today, helping him get set up with Zoom and YouTube. So, because they're going to try to teach, they own a Montessori preschool. So they're going to try to teach Montessori curricula to their students remotely so that they can still charge their customers. So he originally called to try to cancel services or suspend services for a period of time, but I ended up having a chat with them, and, then he got back to me. That was yesterday. He got back to me today and said, hey, listen, I think we're going to give this a shot. So I produced a tutorial video to show him how to integrate Zoom to live stream into YouTube so that he can manage questions and answers for the classes that they're going to teach to the preschool students and the parents through YouTube chat, as opposed to like Zoom. And anyways, long story short, we worked something out. And I think there's a lot of creative ways to retain clients right now, or to even potentially open up new avenues of business that may have otherwise been, you might not have otherwise ever thought of. So I think there's some benefit to that. However, there are certainly going to be some people they're just going to have clients that are going to flat out freak out and just say, like, we don't have the revenue, we need to suspend services. And I know a lot of you as consultants and agency owners are going to experience, are going to feel that. You're going to feel that. And we know that we've had some people contact us at support and say that they'd like to suspend or pause their membership subscription services to our memberships and such. Here's what I think, guys. We're digital marketers. And yes, we are going to be, for the most part, we will experience, we'll feel some of this. But right now is not the time to take your foot off the gas. In fact, right now is a really good opportunity to work on building your business, because as I've talked about many, many times before, something I never really did was over the years was really put a lot of effort into building Big Bamboo Marketing, my agency brand. I didn't really need to, because of, I had several good clients. I make good money from my agency. I got Semantic Mastery. I have other businesses that were generating revenue. So I never made it an proactively tried to grow my brand and my authority for my own agency. Well, right now is a great opportunity to do that, guys. If you're going to have more time because all of your external activities have been completely shut down by the government, so you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, you're self-quarantined or stuck in your house. And if you've got clients that are suspending services, pausing services, whatever, what a better time than to devote energy and attention to your own business, so that when all of this passes, which it too shall pass, you're in a much stronger position for your own agency. And instead of building always other people's companies, build your own company. And so I'm taking this opportunity to do just that. And so we're in the middle of the 2X your agency training, or double your agency training. And today I just finished week 9 training. So we've got 3 weeks left, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 3 weeks left. And I think right now is a perfect opportunity for you guys, like for anybody that hasn't purchased 2X your agency, to get it. It's super inexpensive. 12 damn weeks of training, and every single week is a lot of training, trust me. And like I said, just completed 9 weeks, guys. And if you start going through this now while you have the time, and you start, and guys, consuming the course isn't going to help your business. You have to implement, take action on what you learn. And so the course is 12 weeks. Imagine how much work goes into it. But I promise you, if you go through and start implementing this and building your own brand, that you're going to come out of this stronger and much better off than you were going into it. Trust me. And so I think I'm almost out of time. My suggestion to you is to build your own brand so that you can probably that you've neglected you've neglected. I know I have. And so I'm using this opportunity right now to do things like develop processes for some of my most complex tasks that I never even attempted to build standard operating procedures for, because I didn't want to devote the time to do it. Well, now I'm devoting the time to do it, because that's going to remove me from the process, which is going to eliminate a bottleneck in my business, right? From some of the stuff. Same thing goes with when it comes to marketing and branding for your own business. Again, I would get referrals. So I didn't do a lot of intentional marketing for clients for my own agency. Right now is a great opportunity for you to take time to develop marketing collateral, training materials that you can use for marketing collateral. Like all of these, there goes my timer, all these different things that you can do to start positioning yourself so much better, so that when this does pass, you'll be in a much better position. And since I'm out of time, I'm going to pass it on. Who's next?
Go, Chris.
All right. So I was thinking about this, how I'll approach this. So like, I will give you an analogy here. Number one, imagine you're an alien who lands on planet Earth in sometime October, and you figure things out, I don't know, like around beginning of December, you know how economy works and stuff and how people are working and things. But the thing is, then December comes and we all know what in December is: Christmas holidays. So as alien, you probably never experienced Christmas before, and everybody is winding down work, everything stops. Everybody's staying at home. People are celebrating and stuff, but there's literally no work being done. And the alien is wondering, why are all the businesses dead? Like, what happened? And I kind of see it the same way. Like it's, in my opinion, people are making everything up in their head right now, because compared to last week, it's just like a few news like that were flattering, and you have to stay home. And as we're all doing, or most of us doing online business stuff, there's literally zero change, you know, like some people freak out, some hear about shutdowns. As Bradley said, some cancel subscription, they fear like some potential future disaster and stuff. But right now, it's exactly the same thing as last week, with the exception that you gotta stay at home. Nothing else changed. So now what can we do about the whole thing? So number one, we know it's all playing out in our head. It's all psychology right now. And so to actually move ahead and get to a good place, we always gotta ask ourselves certain questions. So one of the questions I definitely would ask myself, and I already asked myself this, is, so in 3 weeks from now, everything is like back to normal. It's just an assumption, right? So if in 3 weeks from now, everything will be back to normal, where do I want to be? And that's one of the very important questions that I would definitely answer and like think about that. And the second one is like focus on what you can do in those 3 weeks, like, and not what you can't do or like what might happen. Actually make sure to turn off 90% of social media and news. I just give you an example. On social media, I see all the time supermarkets like empty, nothing there. Reality is, I mean, I might be lucky because I'm in Austria. Reality is supermarkets here are actually overstocked. You get everything. And I actually was at the supermarket yesterday. I got like really good food, 50% off, just because it's expiring tomorrow. But well, different thing. Anyways, back to the focus here. And one other thing, because like I kind of like have German roots. For me, one thing is like the work actually cures the worry. So if you're worrying and like a fear and stuff, you do the work, because the moment you start working ahead, you will not be able to worry about things, because like you can't do both at the same time. Now, what really can you do if you're part of Semantic Mastery or here with us? So I actually remember like about 1.5 years or something like that ago, I actually wrote a PDF, and that's focusing on affiliate products. And as many of you might be working with clients and stuff, and who might cancel on things with you, the next best thing is obviously do affiliate offers, especially info products and stuff. People will still buy those. Like just thinking about that, like Backyard Miracle, which is like how to grow your own foods and stuff, or like how to be your own, create your own water or prepper stuff, or even just do things for your own brand. And I pretty much wrote a report about that, where I did in 45 days, I made $349, started from scratch. And all I did was rank one page and put in 4 hours of work. Now imagine if I put in 4 hours of work and made $349 within 45 days. Obviously, like it was a newer strategy at that time for me, and I just had to implement it. But like, imagine how often you can replicate that within those 3 weeks, those 4 hours. It's ridiculous. You can even like, I don't know, like spend lots of time with your family. But I definitely encourage you to check that out. And I will also like give you one freebie. If you're in the Facebook group, I will also like post that PDF today again. And so you can check it out and actually read through. So that's my special treat for you guys today. That's it from my end.
Good stuff. Marco?
Hey, what I have is just coming from experience, right? The experience of being alive almost 57 years, right? And seeing how cyclical in nature all of these things are, right? The market busts and the bear markets, and then the bull markets, and then this happened, then tragedy happened. I can go to 9/11, I can go to other things. So that, you know, you're up. While you're going up, you should be planning for that come down, right? So if you were in for example, in Bitcoin, and it was going up and up and up and up and up and up, you should have given yourself a safety valve for when it came down, because nothing eternally goes up. Okay, what goes up? What's that song? What goes up must come down. So since it's cyclical, as Bradley said, and this too shall pass. I've seen it time and again, but that doesn't do you any good right now. If you have a panicky client, doesn't do you any good if you're thinking about, okay, how the fuck am I gonna get to next month, or maybe the next month? Maybe you have a 2-month cushion. Well, what you can do is, if you have all your eggs in one basket, if all you are doing is clients, as Chris said, there's so many opportunities right now. Think of all these people who are self-quarantined and who have absolutely nothing to do. What are they going to be doing? Take a guess. You can only watch so many Netflix dramas or HBO or whatever. They're going to be consuming YouTube video. They're going to be consuming social media. I know Chris said stay away from the stupidity. Stay away from the stupidity, but they're going to be there. And what's happening right now, Hernan mentioned this, is that ads, they're actually, the price is dropping because people are cutting back. But that's panic mode. That we have to be sensible, right? We have to be sensible and think. I'm going to give you a perfect example of why opinion is nothing but fucking opinion. We had a guy who bought local GMB Pro. He writes back to us, after going through the course, I have determined, now listen to this, I have determined that since press releases purge, right, from the sites where they get displayed, PR stacking won't work. Now, this is such flawed logic that I had to really sit back and say, oh my God, how in the hell can you form an opinion on something that you're just thinking won't work? This is what's actually happening. People are forming opinions on what they're hearing from others rather than relying on what the experts are saying. None of us here are experts about this virus, so I'm not even going to discuss that. The experts in this shit is Semantic Mastery. It's us. Because not only did we develop the courses, we use them, we rank, we make money time and time again. I'm showing in the Heavy Hitter Club. I'm showing in our free group. I've shown in here images, and I'm going to drop one in here. That's ridiculous what's happening right now. Now, I will admit that her calls have slowed a bit, because since people are home more, they're not getting into that many accidents. But that'll change. When people will get frantic when they're allowed out. Trust me, we want to be there at number one, because there's going to be a whole lot of accidents happen with people just freaking out. Oh my God, I can go out. Wham! But you have to plan for it. You have to be ready for it. You have to expect it. And this is the time to go in, to study and expand, to explore other areas. Go into affiliate. Go and sell products. Go and work on your brand. As Bradley said, work on it, develop it. You know why? Because SEOs are panicky, and a bunch of them are going to drop. Trust me. A lot of them, these people that are charging $250 a month, they're not going to last long. They're not going to be there. So what happens is, anytime that there's tragedy, unfortunately, a lot of people, the herd is called, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing for those of you who know what the fuck you're actually doing. Because if you know what you're actually doing, you can go, you can show, this is what I do, and this is how I'm going to help you. But you have to get in front of these people, right? You have to have, as Bradley has said, your pipeline has to be full. You have to be talking to people. You have to be planning for it, so that in 2-3 months down the line, when this all goes away, you can do it virtually like we're doing right now. Right? You don't have to go and meet with the person, close them, be ready for that one-on-one meeting where you can come and get that check. So just where people see tragedy, where people see misery, I see opportunity. It's wide open, and it's those people who think outside the box and who really plan for it, and who actually apply what we give you, because we give you so much. I mean, it's like it's turnkey. That's all you have to do. Take the action, turn the key, go and do in whatever it is that you want to do, and you're going to be successful. And you can make money while you're waiting for the other money to come back. So it's not a complete loss. Don't look at it that way. Nothing is 100%. It's done. It's over with. Just like nothing is 100% success. That's what I have to say about it.
Well said.
All yours, Adam.
Thanks. Yeah, having fun dealing with the slower internet. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that. It may just be the area I'm in, man. That's going to be the killer thing. But real quick, guys, I want to talk about putting my timer on so I don't go over. No, just kidding. I want to talk about working the system, right? It's a great title for a book written by Sam Carpenter. And it's something that I think is really important. It's been incredibly important in my life and has given me some incredible results. And I'm going to go into details. There's literally 3 things you can ask yourself and start doing on a regular basis now that you probably have a little bit more time on your hands. And this is going to result in a lot more money for you, as well as a ton of time. And I know Bradley has incorporated some of this. He knows what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, may I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah, go for it.
You could have done the recording of the first video for the 2X Your Agency training that I recorded today, because it's all about automate, delegate, or eliminate. And I was like, my partner Adam was the one that ingrained this into me, and here's what it is. So you were featured today, buddy.
Well, this is good, because I'm going to give everyone the quick do-it-yourself version. If you want to find out more, definitely come join 2X Your Agency at 2xyouragency.com. But what I was talking about was, the importance of the process. I want to talk about why it's important, because sometimes the context really does matter. Because I could sit here and tell you how important it's been to me and that you should do it as well. But if you don't understand kind of the larger idea of why processes are important, then maybe it's not a big deal. It just seems like something maybe you should be doing. I gave a talk back in 2018 at the first POFU Live. And I shared some numbers, and I said, I went back and looked at what I've done and the processes I'd implemented over the previous, I don't know, like 18 months, and just gathering up the data and looked at it. And I said, you know what? If I sat down like I'd been doing every week for 30 minutes, I spent 30 minutes of my time. And sometimes it's hard, right? I've got either I'm bored, or maybe I don't want to do it, or I've got client demands, or I got this or that. Sometimes, I do want to do it, but I sit down and I force myself to spend that 30 minutes and I look at things that I can get off my plate, things I can delegate, things that I can automate. And if all I do is free up 5 minutes every week out of that, it doesn't seem like much. What's 5 minutes here and there? But you start adding that stuff and you get kind of what we're seeing with coronavirus, you get an exponential result. And over time, that's huge. In 1 year, you can free up the equivalent of 5 full days. And I'm not talking about like 5, 6-hour days. I'm talking about 5 24-hour days. Like it's crazy. And then the amount of opportunity you have available in that, whether you want to do nothing with it and just say, hey, I'd like to free up some time so that I don't have all this crap in my head. Or, hey, maybe I'd like to have a couple extra weeks to work on a project. So if that sort of an idea is appealing to you, then this is something you definitely want to try to incorporate into your workflow. Now, I talked about it real quick about, doing this once a week. You can do it once a month. You can do it once a quarter. This works on different scales. But it's that you do it. I really want, to take this information and you've got to put it into practice. Like Bradley was saying, you can come into 2X Your Agency and learn and watch all those cool videos that, the training him and Hernan have done. But if you don't do anything with it, it doesn't matter. Just like what I'm going to share with you, you can hear it and say, that's neat. But if you just do it once and never do it again, it doesn't matter. And it's not going to help you. So please, if you want to do this, you want to see these types of results, like whether it's what I'm talking about, what Bradley's talking about, Chris, Marco, Hernan, please take action. Even if it's just one of us you listen to, start doing it. So here it is. It's real simple. There's 3 things. And I literally do this. I get my butt out of this room. I go somewhere else. And to the point of yesterday, it was my day to do it. I went out on my little balcony because I can't go to the freaking coffee shop because it's closed. But I got my coffee, went out of the kitchen, and went outside and did this. So the first one is I identify my big win areas. Where am I getting the best results? And how can I get more results like that? And this isn't some grand thing like, I closed $100,000 deal this week. That hasn't happened. I don't do that. But maybe it's, a win with a client. Maybe it is, filling my pipeline? It's these little things that add up. So don't overburden yourself. Don't overthink it. Just say, what's given me the best results in the last time frame, whether it's a week, a month, 90 days, and how can I get more like that? And answer it. Write it down. Don't just think about it. Write it down. All right. The second question is, what is one thing that you can delegate, delete, or automate? And this is what I led this off with, and talking about that. And, you know, if it's just one thing a week, again, it doesn't matter if it takes you 5 minutes every week, just get that off your plate and start doing this every single week. And last but not least, this is similar to the second one, but it's slightly different. You'll come up with different answers. What hasn't been working well for you or your business, and how can you get rid of it? Do it in half the time or delegate it. And I put in do it in half the time because sometimes shit's just got to get done. And you may not want to do it, but you can't automate it. You can't hand it off if you can't just find out a way to get it done fast so you got more time. So I really implore you guys to take this time now that hopefully you've got a little bit more time on your hands, but it's now is more important than ever. My countdown timer was out loud. That's awful. But put this into use, you guys. Carve out some time, make it available to yourself and stick to it and do something like that. Set a timer, set an alert, set a calendar event, do whatever you got to do so that you can reap the benefits out of this.
And make it a non-negotiable. You do it every week, week in, week out, or month in, month out, whatever your time frame is. And last thing I want to say is, if you guys have ever been to a BNI, Business Networking International meeting, and that they ring that bell, it doesn't matter if you're in mid-sentence, it's sit your ass down and shut up. So,
pretty close.
Yeah. All right, Hernan, wrap it up for us.
Yeah, so I'm going to wrap it up real quick. I just want to lead in saying that I learned this from being part of you know, a big agency last year, and it is a saying that goes, proximity is power. And I say it because last year I was working with Grant Cardone hand to hand, had the honor, you know, working with him, now working with, you know, some of the thought leaders in our industry. And I had the privilege of seeing how they operate in these times and why they are where they are, right? And the first thing that some of these guys started saying is, guys, this is the time to double down. Like, this is the time to double down hard. It's not just a technical feature. I'm in the business manager all day, every day on Facebook, and I'm seeing the CPMs dropping. CPMs, the cost per 1,000 impressions. So basically what Facebook is charging us to run our ads, it's like going down. A lot of politicians are not running campaigns anymore. That's a lot of money that's not going into the platforms. A lot of events were postponed. So that means that's not advertising dollars that are going into the platforms. That goes for Facebook and YouTube and Google as well. So the CPMs are going down. We're getting better placement. We're getting better reach. But that's the technical side of things, right? You can see that, you cannot see that. What I'm seeing is that these guys are doubling down. And what double down means, it's up to you as long as you do it. Like for these guys or for us, we're selling digital services, digital products. You might think, well, it's easy for you to say, but we just talked about a school, you know, that are trying to pivot into the digital space, because now they see the opportunity. I was talking to a client, a chiropractor. He's been, I've been running his ads for the past year or so. The guy's crushing it, but now his clinics are suffering. And I told him, listen, dude, this is not the time to chicken out. This is the time to double down. That means that, hey, let's sell your products, your creams, your lotions. Let's sell them online. Let's put a Shopify store. Let's sell them online to all of the clients that visit your clinic over the past couple of days. Let's sell online classes like stretching, self-massage, that type of stuff, and charge $5 a month. And that is something that we put together today. He's already making money, right? So the point is this. The point is that always proximity is power. Seeing how other people operate, it's really, really beneficial. And seeing how other business owners and digital marketing owners operate, it's crazy beneficial, because otherwise I started joking saying, hey, I'm 24/7 quarantine. That's not a joke. I am. I'm 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours in front of the computer. And the only way that I can get to see a glimpse of how these people operate is by communicating with them. So if you are willing to stay out and take out and go out of your little bubble, when you're watching social media, you're watching the news, and you're getting all of this trash feeding your head, and you want to actually grow your business, there are basically two options that we have here. The guys talked about 2X your agency. I'm a big fan of the mastermind, because the mastermind is where the real good the goods are delivered, because you not only you can see what these guys are developing, but you get to see how other high-level digital marketers are operating. And guess what? If you get 5 people telling you, hey, it's time to double down, and you get 1 people saying, hey, no, I'm going to step away, guess what? You're going to double down as well. So you get that positive influence. That's number one. If you're not ready to join the mastermind, that's fine. Go ahead and get into a 2x your agency. That's the best next thing that you can do, because on that, you will learn how to brand yourself so that you're never worry about leads on the upside, on the downside. It doesn't really matter. The reason why I'm telling you this, I've been doing some self-branding stuff. I got 4 clients over the past 3 days, you know? So if you're starting right now to brand yourself, that's fine, but you need to start at some point. And then you will get all of the processes to get your agency from where it's at right now to double it. We're not saying, hey, yeah, you're going to become a millionaire, you're going to 10x your agency. We're just saying, hey, listen, if you follow these principles, there's a high chance that you will increase your revenue so you can increase your livelihood without having to work more. So that's my intake on it. And I hope that you guys are safe, and I hope that, you know, you thrive on these times.
Yeah, one
mind
thing
if
I
I
was
say
going to
something real
mention
quick,
was
Bradley?
Chris said something in the Slack or in our corporate meeting notes yesterday that I thought was really, like, I love that statement, Chris, that you typed out and said, work is the antidote for worry. And think about that, guys. I know it's kind of nerve-wracking right now with all the shit going on and all the media and the news and blah, blah, blah. And it's scary. It's turbulent times. There's no question. But instead of sitting around worrying and not getting anything done, worry sucks, right? It sucks. So instead, work, right? Put your nose down, go to work and get some stuff done. And like I said, right now is a really good opportunity to work on building your own brand and positioning yourself. As everyone here has pretty much mentioned today, more and more people right now, because they're home or they're not at work, they're on social media, they're on YouTube. So don't you think it's a really good opportunity for you to position yourself by producing videos that share your expertise? Right? So if you're following what we've been teaching in 2X Your Agency, if you're trying to niche down to a particular business vertical, start producing videos, educational videos. Like in my case, tree service SEO, tree service lead generation, how to grow a tree business, how to sell tree work. Like, these are all questions. I've already done the keyword research for, you know, developing marketing materials to bring clients into my agency, very specific clients into my agency. Well, now's a really good time, because I haven't had the time to produce that stuff before, to produce that stuff and get it out on the web while people are at home consuming this stuff. That's my point. And remember, these assets aren't just going to be valuable in the next coming weeks. Once they're out there, those are little assets, little nets that can bring, like it's like casting a net out there. Each one of them can bring clients to you years down the road. I've got videos that I produced 2.5 years ago that were shitty videos talking about tree service lead generation that to this day are still producing leads for me. So right now, guys, get your ass to work, and work is the antidote to worry. And I owe that one to Chris. That was a good one, Chris.
Definitely. I think during this, like, I want to share some good news that, like, this works. So talk about keeping your pipeline full. You know, it's good news for me, but I mean, anyone who's following this, right? I've left the date in there on purpose, March 17th, right? Today's the 18th. That was yesterday. I just had a new client. This is their very first invoice, and they wanted to kick things off right now. So things are, you know, I'm also having conversations with other clients, but by following this, and I've really listened to the stuff Bradley's talked about. And obviously I have a little bit tighter connection. I've been listening to him for years, but following these ideas about prospecting and putting a lot of them over time into place results in things like this, where I am personally, literally in the shelter in place roles. We aren't supposed to be going outside, but I'm signing on new clients and having tough times with others, but I'm not in that pinch because I keep filling the pipeline. So anyways.
Okay. Well, hopefully you guys got some value out of that. We're going to jump into questions for the time remaining. So let me grab the screen. Very quickly, I just want to point out, just to prove to Adam that I wasn't lying. Look at that. That's the first part of the lesson from today's week. And what's interesting is I talked about the 3 questions that you asked, Adam, because I think that's great. But I really was pushing out of this one, like, what can you automate, delegate, or eliminate from your business? And so the whole training this week in 2X Your Agency was really about this. Like, where do you start? What do you outsource? Or what do you create SOPs for, standard operating procedures for first? And then, like how do you create standard operating procedures? And I share that and blah, blah, blah. So over the next, by the way, this was the first week of growth. This is the last section. Week 9 week 9 through 12 is the third section of the 2X Your Agency training, and it's about growth. So this is the first week of growth, scaling and growth. We got 3 more weeks. Next week it's going to be entirely about outsourcing. So I would encourage you guys to pick this up, go through it, and implement it while you have the time. Okay.
Nice.
All right. So it looks like Patrick Smith was the first one up. He says, question on Hump Day Hangout for today. I'm working on a client who wants to dominate most of their major cities in a particular county and wants me to build lead gen sites for him. Would you recommend I build one big site with location pages and separate GMBs for each location with lead gen brand name of location? My plan was to build the site, establish GMBs, order citations, order SEO shield, order link package, order follow-up, RYS stacks, link packages for specific locations. Yeah, I mean, that's you can do that. In fact, in the mastermind, I'm starting, and it's tree service. Yeah, Patrick, I thought I'd seen you. I thought you'd said tree service. I'm seeing that your second question. It's interesting, but because of the 2X Your Agency stuff, and I was just talking about this, I am actively soliciting or prospecting for tree service clients right now. And so I'm working on a lot of that, like developing processes for client onboarding and setup and things like that, things that I've always done myself, but I want to remove myself so that I can start onboarding more clients without me being the bottleneck. And so I'm developing the processes for that. But on my to-do list is to start developing some of this marketing collateral. And anyways, the reason I'm bringing this up is because in the mastermind, I just landed another tree service client last week or 2 weeks ago, but I met with him last week in person. He's a local guy. And I'm starting a project, and I quoted him on a reduced rate if he would allow me to use his project, because it's a brand new project, brand new website, everything. If he would allow me to use that as a case study in the mastermind, because I told him that, you know, I teach this stuff too, and he agreed. So I have the green light to start a brand new lead generation project for a client, a new client in the tree service industry, and it's a service area based business, and I'm going to be sharing that 100% entirely inside the mastermind. So, and everything about it. So you guys, anybody that wants to see how that's done and how I do it, and how I build location silos using tags and all of that kind of stuff, you have to join the mastermind for it, but that's coming. So with that said, I'm doing something very similar, Patrick, to what it is that you're talking about, in that I have several GMB assets in his service area right now that I need to reallocate to another tree service contractor anyways, because I lost one of my tree service contractors for not because they just dropped me, but for another reason. Anyways, I've got lead gen assets that needed to be rebranded or need to be serviced. So I started rebranding. In fact, by the way, I'm not telling anybody to go out and do this, but I rebranded 3 GMB assets in the last week. Changed the phone numbers, changed the web addresses. They're still alive. They did not get suspended. So knock on wood. I'm not saying that everybody should do that, but fortunately I was able to get all 3 of them updated and I had no issues. But so what I'm doing is I'm building brand name plus location, similar to what you're saying, for the 3 locations that are there. Now he had his own GMB set up with the brand name, but it was brand name only. So there was no location modifier. And so I'm rebranding the lead gen assets first. So brand name plus city modifier, location modifier. And then I'm building a lead generation website that will be using location pages, right? So there's the brand, which will be associated with his primary GMB, which is only the brand name. But then the other location-based ones are going to have the location name appended to the brand, right? So the GMB name is brand plus location. And then I want to have location pages with each optimized for its own specific location. Those become their own silos too, right? There's topical silos and then there's location silos, which are, the way I do it now is handled through tags, the location silos. And again, that's all covered in the mastermind. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And I think so what you're talking about with your plan there is very, very similar to what I'm doing. But I would encourage you, Patrick, right now would be a really good time, because you're in a similar industry too, or the same industry, it sounds like, to come join the mastermind, and you can watch in real time as I build out a project and see the results that I'm able to achieve with it. So I think that's a solid plan right there. Again, associate the primary SEO shield, which is, remember, brand plus primary keyword association. And the way that I would do it, Marco might have a different opinion, But the way that I do that is I always associate for multi-location businesses or businesses with a large service area, the SEO shield, I always associate the primary keyword. Forget the location modifier. So in this case, it would be like tree service, right? Would be the primary keyword, or tree trimming and tree removal, or something like that is going to be the primary keyword associated with the brand for the SEO shield. Then each individual location is going to get its own location shield, right? And that's because each location is brand plus location name. So each individual GMB essentially will get its own location-based shield, which will essentially be subfolders within the primary brand field, if that makes brand folder, if that makes sense. And so I think what you got right there is almost identical to what it is that I'm going to be doing in the mastermind for my next project. So I think that's a good plan. Marco, do you have any comments on that before I move on?
No, that's fine.
Okay. So next one was, forgive the second question, but last year I set up an unverified map pin for a tree service, or unverified map pins for a tree service I'm working with the intention of verifying them by phone, but that method stopped working before I was able to follow through. I now have 10 to 15 optimized map pins pointing to him with variations of his name and tree service care company removal. Would you recommend me best boost? How would you recommend me best boost these locations rankings? Well, here's a problem that I see with that though. Okay. If you have variations of his brand name, so for example, Brad's Tree Care, Brad's Tree Removal, Brad's Tree Service, Brad's Tree Company. Well, that would cause entity ambiguation. I know Marco will have a comment on this. So that, unless every single location is going to be treated as a unique brand, a unique entity, thus having a unique name, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it the way that you have it. I would abandon those pins if you can't edit them. Those maps listings that are unverified, whatever, unclaimed pins. If you can't edit them, I would probably abandon them, only because if you're trying to associate his brand with those locations in some way, you're going to actually ambiguate the brand and hurt the entity overall, like his primary brand. If that's not what you're doing, and you're going to treat each one of them as independent, unique brands or entities, then yeah, you could get away with that. But if they're very closely named, because remember, Google thinks of tree removal and tree trimming and tree service and tree cutting, all of those are synonyms, right? Google thinks of them as LSI, right? Like similar keywords or close variants. And the problem is, if you have very close variants of a brand name, it's going to cause entity ambiguation, which will cause all of them to perform poorly. So Marco, what do you say?
Yeah, I see the same thing. I don't see how you can get around not ambiguating the entity unless you're going to treat each one as a separate entity. And then how do you avoid getting filtered? I mean, you could, if you push a lot of power, and treat each one as a separate entity, although the names would be close, as long as the address and the phone number are different. Yeah. But can you imagine, you'd have to do an SEO shield for each one of those, press releases for each one, link building for each one, embeds for each one, so that you could boost all of them to the point where they're producing. Now, if he were to do all of this and just bring it under one umbrella,
right,
he could push a whole lot more power and get a lot better results with a lot less work. Like I like a lot less work and a lot more money. I love that. I like easy. This is overcomplicating it. It was simple then. If you could verify the GMB and just work within the GMB to push it up within the radius. But that's not how it's working now. Now it's a little bit different. And I just see issues unless you do a really good job of creating each entity and separating the entities, and that's a hell of a lot of work for. Again, now I always say this, right? You have to look at the work that you have to do and the return on your investment. Whether it's time and money, is it worth the effort to go through all of that? Is the money that's going to come back to you worth the effort that you're going to put into it?
Yeah, because remember, like in your previous question, you were talking about how it was the brand name with a unique location modifier appended to it, but that's the same brand across all locations. So the point is, you can create, you're powering up the entity, and it's the same entity just with unique locations, right? So as Marco said, you push a shit ton of power into the entity, the primary location or drive stack, which is going to be the SEO shield, which is going to be the brand name plus service, or, you know, plus keyword association, which in this case would be service, right? So you push all the power into there, you power up that entity, and then you can create subfolders for every single location, which would be like a location shield, right? That are going to benefit immediately from being placed within that entity's folder because they're part of the entity. So they're all, the moment that they're built essentially and, you know, recognized by Google, it's going to be benefiting from all of the entity's authority that's been built within that entity, is my point. When you treat each individual one as its own standalone entity, now you've got to push that same sort of authority and power into every single location, because you're not going to be able to benefit from any subsequent location, right, by just plugging it into something that's already been built up. So it's an enormous amount of work. And not only that, but like I said, you can actually ambiguate the primary entity that way if there are close variants of the name. And unless you push enough power to each one, it could actually cause ambiguation or filter, even pigeon filtering issues if they're too close in proximity to each other. So I would just, you know, I would caution against working on GMBs that were named like that, that you don't have access to change. If you could edit those GMBs to where you could do what you said in your first question, which was have the brand name consistent across every location and then just append a location modifier to it, then at least you could still push that same brand, if that makes sense. And you'd have a much better results with a lot less effort. So it was a really good question though. All right, we've got about 15 minutes left. Mike says, hello, I hope everyone is well. Question, please, about regular URL versus bit.ly URL. I want to add a link to my YouTube channel from my website to my YouTube. Okay, by using social icon button, for example, I want to use bit.ly instead of long and ugly YouTube URL. And also in general, do you recommend create bit.ly links for external links on Money Site? Thanks. Okay, no. Here's why. Bit.ly is great if you just want to share links, not for SEO purposes. I use bit.ly all the time in like process docs and, you know, things like that. And so like standard operating procedures and training docs and things like, things like that, because they're, you know, it's easy. I've got the little bit.ly Chrome extension. It makes it super easy to make pretty short links. But I don't use bit.ly for SEO. Why? Because for years, this has been a known thing. You could Google it and you'll find articles about it. bit.ly will arbitrarily turn a 301 redirect, which is a page rank passing redirect, into a 302 redirect, which is a non-page rank passing redirect. Like, in other words, it will not pass link equity. And there's no rhyme or reason that I've ever been able to determine, or anybody else that I know. They just arbitrarily will create a 302 redirect out of some of the bit.ly links. And it absolutely kills any SEO value to that link. So what I would recommend is that you don't use bit.ly. Instead, why don't you go to MGYB.co, our store, and I think it's MGYB.co/s.
I already posted it in the chat.
All right. Well, for everybody's benefit, I'm going to pull it up here so they can see it. MGYB.co/s right there. That's the user. I might still be logged in. Okay, I'm not. This is the URL shortener from MGYB, which has been powered up for years, for what, 2 years now, I guess. And it's super powerful. In fact, a lot of my drive stack links actually rank as MGYB.co short URLs as opposed to the long, ugly folder or file URLs from the drive stack, because we shorten everything through MGYB shortener before, well, we also shorten everything through the shortener and add those to the drive stack delivery sheets so that you have both versions of the URL, the long, ugly one and the short one. You build links to all of them. And so the MGYB.co domain has been built up from that, which can help you. There are other URL shorteners out there, guys. I've talked about this before. By the way, you can order different levels of subscriptions for this, but you can use ours and benefit from the SEO value that it has accrued over time. Just so you know, like I've mentioned in the past, for clients and stuff, a lot of the times I will install something like Pretty Links Pro, which is a plugin on their domain so that I can create redirects using a branded domain. Or in some cases, like for example, Semantic Mastery, for like training stuff, we have a domain that I've done the same thing, installed Pretty Links on. It's smshort.link, stands for Semantic Mastery Short Link, right? So it's smshort.link. That's our link shortener for like training and stuff that I do. And that's just used through Pretty Links. So those are things that you have more control over. I don't recommend bit.ly. But if you want to pretty something up just to make it look better, you can use a plugin like that. Or if you want just pure SEO value, I would highly recommend you go get a subscription to the MGYB link shortener because it is freaking powerful. Okay.
It's not just pure SEO value, because if you get into one of the paid levels, you have complete control over your URL to the point where you can switch out the destination. If at some point you get a shitty client stops paying, you can stop transferring all that juice just by flipping out the MGYB shortened links, which you control under the paid option. You can track your links. You can see where people are clicking from on your. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't even know all of the benefits that our shortener has because it has so many. And I'm the one who had the programmer install it in the first place. And I'm still coming across just all of these different things that we can do with the shortener. And it is in the plans for people to be able to add their own domain in there so that they can benefit from the SEO. That's still to come, all right? But I wouldn't worry so much because it's prevalent. The use of shortness is prevalent all across the internet. And there's tons of them. I would venture to say there's hundreds of them. There's 10 or 15 that you can choose from that are pretty powerful. But I've yet to see a short link rank since what is it? The Google. The Google shortener went away, but ours do. Ours rank, and it's because of all the power that we're pushing into it. So it's SEO benefit, and it's just total control to the point where I'm pretty sure you can even add a tracking pixel to the link. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of things that you can do if you get into one of the paid levels. If not, you're welcome to use it for free.
Yeah, but what's really cool is think about that. When you see an MGYB.co shortened drive stack or drive file link that is indexed and it shows the MGYB.co instead of the Google URL. Think about that, guys. It's showing the redirect URL as opposed to the destination URL, which is crazy. That just goes to show you it's pretty powerful. So I would recommend you use that as well. Fitz is up, says, good day. Thank you for giving us a chance to get our questions answered here. You're welcome, Fitz, as always. He says, I noticed that my blogs have been giving me an error in Search Console that says review snippet error and items do not support reviews. Could that be a problem with schema? I don't know because I haven't done much with review schema, but I thought I saw Jordan answer that down here somewhere.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, okay. So he's asking, did you have aggregate review in your schema? And maybe that's it. So I can't really answer the question because I don't know. Marco, do you have any comments for him?
No, I agree with Jordan. If he has aggregate review schema, it could cause a problem because Google said don't do that. Google said don't add stars, right? And that's what we're talking about. That's self-promotion. It's a bunch of shit, but it's one of the things that you have to abide by. That's probably what's breaking it, Fitz. Without knowing more, I can't really tell you what the problem is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that might also be a good question to post in the group, Fitz, because then we could get some comments, maybe some others that have more experience with that. It's not something I've done a lot with. I've fought it in the past, but the way we've gotten over it was just by buying a plugin that did it. For example, like with Google, there's the Google Reviews plugin. There's a company that makes the plugins for Google Reviews, Yelp Reviews, and I think Facebook Reviews, and you can get all three of them, whatever. And so I got tired of fighting, trying to get the shit to work. So I just would buy the damn plugin, the premium, plug it in, and it would start to work. So I don't know exactly what to tell you, but maybe that'd be a good question to start a thread in the Facebook group. Mohammed says, hey guys, after getting a complete SEO shield, how long do I wait before starting to power it up with very MGYB services? Is it the standard 3 weeks? No, I mean, the moment you get it, as far as I'm concerned with the drive stack stuff and everything, SEO shield stuff, you can start hammering away as soon as you get it. Marco, do you recommend any wait time?
No. In fact, he should order the link building package with the SEO shield so that the SEO shield gets turned over to Dedia, and then Dedia hammers it, and then it gets turned over to you, Mohammed.
Okay, so the next question was...
We just covered that when we started.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think we... yeah, Mohammed, again, I just, one of the things you could mention to some of your clients is maybe give them a reduced rate for lesser services, but some of the things that you feel are critical to keep their positioning, maintain their positioning as much as possible so that they don't lose traction. That's something else you could do. For example, if you got a client paying you, I don't know, $1,500 a month, you could tell them, I can do some bare minimum services, which will help prevent the loss of, a lot of what we've done, or at least slow it down for $500 a month or $750 a month. I'm just giving you some examples here of some things that you could possibly do and mean that. For example, like my preschool client, we haven't been doing GMB posts because he hired an in-house social media person to do that a while ago. But we do, a lot of other things, press releases and things like that. And so I told my preschool client today that, if he needs to suspend services, that I would recommend that they, increase their GMB posting considerably to help compensate for some of the other stuff that's not going to be done if that's the case. Although, like I said, we're going to try doing some online preschool classes for his members so that to keep their tuition going, which means he'll keep paying me too. And we're going to see how that goes. So over the next week. Anyways, those are just some ideas, Mohammed. All right, we've only got a couple more minutes, guys. We'll try to get through this one. BB says, hey, guys, do you have a way to update published tier 1 branded posts when initial posts get updated? No, you just republish them. Unless you manually go out to the Web2 the syndication sites and manually edit every one of the posts. Remember, if it gets, let's just use the 3 blogs, for example, right? So Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress. If you publish a post, it's going to get resyndicated to those 3 blog locations. If you then edit the post or update the post on the blog, you have to manually go to each of those 3 locations and make that same edit on each blog. So that's an enormous amount of work. Don't recommend it. You're better off just changing the post and then republishing it, changing the publication date to like now, so that when you click publish, or change it to draft and then change the publication date to now, so that when you click publish, it reinserts it into the feed and will trigger a resyndication. As long as it wasn't just published on the Web2s, a week ago or whatever, so it's like duplicate posts side by side on the same blog, then I wouldn't worry about it. In fact, you can even use plugins like the RSS plugin for Semantic Mastery. As a mastermind member, it's only in that premium version, or something like Republish Old Posts, which is a WordPress plugin. I'm just going to show it to you really quick. Republish Old Posts, WordPress. This plugin right here. It's free. They have a paid version, a pro version. I think it's like $20 that gives you like a ton of additional features, scheduling options, all kinds of stuff. But this right here will take posts and guys, this is good to do, even if it's not because you updated a post, right? This is good to do if you have a blog with a ton of content on it. Sometimes you can, like, it makes sense to republish posts that were published a year ago if they're still, if they're still relevant, if they're topical type posts, they're not time sensitive posts in it. It makes sense to republish them to give them another push. And this is a way that you can automate that right here, right? So again, this is a free plugin, but you can also buy a paid version of it that has a little bit more features. Okay, so that was that question. Should you index backlinks? If yes, then how? Very simply, go to MGYB.co, go to the store, scroll down to, where's link indexing? There it is.
There it is.
Right there. Now, there is one drawback that Rob is fully aware of, in that for this right now, you have to submit 300 URLs at a time, which sucks. It's an issue that is on our to-do list to get resolved. But right now that you have to only submit 300 URLs at a time, which really doesn't make sense when it comes to, big link building orders. But if you're just trying to get certain links indexed, then you can paste them in here 300 at a time. And that's something that is going to be updated. It's just not done yet. Okay. But that's a really good link indexing service. I think that gets 50 to 60% on average indexed, even spam links. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so there you go. Another way to index backlinks is if you have the ability to submit directly to Search Console, you can do that. It's very tedious and slow and time consuming to do so. Last question, and then we got to wrap it up. Can you please explain why a blog on a subdomain is better than a blog on a subdirectory? It's not that it's better. In the past, the reason why I would always do blogs on subdomains for like multi-location local businesses, for example, or a blog on a subdomain as opposed to in a subdirectory. So like blog dot domain.com as opposed to it being in a subdirectory. So like, for example, if you have an e-commerce site that doesn't have a blog functionality and you want WordPress blog, you could install it on a subdomain, right? So blog dot whatever the domain is, or in a subdirectory. If it was in a subdirectory, then it would be /blog, right? Domain.com/blog, and it would be a separate WordPress installation in that directory, but it would appear as if it was like an internal page blog, like on the domain. They serve the same functionality. The only difference is, in Google's eyes, if it's in a subdirectory, it's part of the root domain. So if you were to be content marketing from the blog and you were to catch a penalty for something, then it would affect the root domain and it would negatively affect the domain. It could penalize the entire domain. So all of the pages and stuff that from the main site could be penalized from that. Even though it was from the blog was the one that caught the penalty and it was in a subdirectory. On the other side of that, if it were in a subdomain and the blog were to catch a penalty, it would isolate that penalty to the subdomain, not to the root domain. So it's just a way to protect. It's a way to mitigate risk. In the past, I used to always build all like multi-location sites. So for example, if I had a tree service client, primary location, I'd build their primary website on a root domain. And for each city that we would expand into, if we had a separate GMB location for each city, we would create a separate WordPress installation. So it would be like culpeper.bradstreeservice.com, fredericksburg.bradstreeservice.com. Each one would have its own standalone WordPress installation for the reasons I just mentioned. In case any one of them were to catch a penalty, it would only isolate to that one particular subdomain, as opposed to taking all of the locations down because they were in inner pages. I don't do that anymore for two reasons. One, as you really grow the footprint, it can create an enormous amount of additional work, updating WordPress sites and all that kind of stuff. Number two, I haven't caught a penalty in years, and it's because of what we teach with the SEO Shield and entity-based SEO. We don't really do much at all to the on-page itself or build anything directly to the money site. So the likelihood of catching a penalty is slim to none. And so therefore, I'm building things on inner pages now. Again, I talked about this in the mastermind, that I'm starting another lead gen project in the mastermind. It's going to be for a teaching opportunity, and I'm going to be building everything on inner pages, so that I don't have a bunch of sites to manage. And so that's something that you can learn in the mastermind. Anyways.
Well, we were mitigating danger, right? We were mitigating against the possibility, because we used to do some dirty shit to subdomains. I mean, let's be honest. That's the reason why we would go into subdomain, because we were doing so much dirty stuff.
Yeah.
Now, since we stopped doing all that and we realized, well, wait a minute, we can protect ourselves. We can still do all the dirty shit that we do, but protect ourselves if we just take it off site, so that on site, the root domain and everything that's within that root domain and folders, whatever, it remains pristine. It never gets touched. It builds backlinks naturally. It just looks as natural as any other website on the web. So there's no reason for it to even lift a red flag. So since we're doing that, there's really no reason for subdomains. You can go into folders, or you can go categories even, right? Locations. You can go services. There's so many different ways now that you could do it, and you're powering up your entire domain by doing it this way. You're adding more relevance, you're adding more trust, you're adding more authority, and eventually you'll add more activity because you'll attract more traffic. You'll get more love from Google. But the only reason why we were doing that is because we knew that what we were doing, we were not supposed to be doing to the subdomains, and we knew that the possibility of a penalty was really, really high. Now, we haven't worried about penalties since we instituted the SEO, what we're now calling the SEO Shield, or entity-based, worryless SEO.
Yep, and that's true. It's changed my strategy too. So, fortunately, and I'm glad, because it's much easier to manage now. Like, I love it. It's our cheat code, because, again, we build the SEO Shield, power that up, and it just works repeatedly. So, anyways, guys, don't panic. Go put the effort and time into your business while you have it right now. Position yourself so that when you come out of it, when we all come out of this, you're in a much, much better position. You'll be stronger than your competitors. And I highly encourage you to do that. Think about the positive that can come out of this. Dwell on that and not the negative or the worry or the uncertainty. And then once again, to repeat Chris, because it was such a wise statement, he says, work is the antidote for worry. And I believe that. So see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
There we go. Bye, everyone.